Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use oil pastels for your Georgia O'Keeffe project. I have a sort of an awkward setup here. This is my laptop screen. There's no other way for you to see what I see other than holding it like this. So this is the image I've chosen to work on. Make sure it's a good composition. Focal point is off center. I have a variety of different shapes. And then I will choose my colors in just a moment. So I'm first going to fold this paper in half. I'm going to start with the white paper. And I want you to try both the black and the white and then see which one you like better. I'm folding it in half so that I have more spaces to work on to try out different colors. So it'll basically be a mini version of your final for the practice. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is draw what I see on here. And you can just draw a section of it or you can draw the entire thing. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to draw it as if I were to draw an upside down drawing from 6th grade. If you guys remember those cartoony pictures we did and we had to draw them upside down. So this to me looks like an oval and it's on the bottom of the paper. So let's say it starts right about here. Then there's a little bit of a curve. Get it as close as you can. So this is sort of a blurry petal right there. You can stylize a little bit. I think it would look better if this whole section was a petal instead of having this gap right there. And then there's a petal here and then that one. Okay, now I'm gonna have to start measuring with my eyes to make sure this petal ends up being the right size and shape. So I'm going to eyeball how far away the top of the petal is to the top of the screen. So I would start right around here. And then it looks like it goes all the way up to here. Okay, connect those dots. Take your time on this. If you need to erase and redo it, that's okay. So I have a few more lines here for the petals off to the right. I'm gonna add a few lines there. Okay, then in between these two petals, there's this guy. So I'm gonna make sure I connect them in the right spot. It looks like it should be right around here. And it ends right around there. I'm gonna go ahead and connect those dots. Now there's this little petal here. I'm gonna ignore it. I think it'll look better if I just add the really big petals. So you'll notice how I'm changing a few things out and I'm not terribly concerned about it being like 100% the right proportions. It's pretty close because I mean I want it to be a good composition like this picture is, but if I eliminate a few details or if I add some details, that's okay. And I think this will look really good if I have a little bit of the background showing through, so I will not add the blurry stuff in the background there, okay? One of the biggest challenges that you'll be presented in some of these pictures are small details and textures. So for example, this area here is definitely going to be a challenge for me because I don't think I can draw each one individually and still be able to have all of those details. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take some inventory. I'm gonna see all the colors I have. You might not have all of these colors. I gave you guys basically like a handful in each bag. So yours might look a little different. Look at what you have first and then decide what colors you want to place where. I don't think I'm gonna copy these colors exactly, but I need to have the picture so I can figure out where to put my highlights and where to put my shadows. So for example, okay, this bottom part is really dark, then these blue striations are sort of a medium shade, and then the white is really light. I also have to compare it to the petals behind it. Notice how this top petal is much darker than the petal behind it. So once you kind of have figured out how many shades you need, then you can assign colors to them, okay? So, I mean, this blue looks pretty cool, but I think maybe, what do I want to use? Maybe I will use, I mean, I do like the brightness. Maybe I will use some blue, but I think I'll also add some warm colors like a pink for like the highlights. I'll mix in some white if I need to make it lighter. And then for the dark, you have to figure out what mixes well with your medium tone. So blue or purple or even green would mix well with blue. So I'm just gonna go with the dark blue and maybe some purple if I need it. I'm also gonna have my black on standby, just sort of off to the side in case I need some really, really dark areas. Okay, so what I'm gonna do for this lesson, I'm just gonna show you how to do these two because they're overlapping. And I want to make sure you guys know how to show me the contrast between things that are overlapping, okay? So for right here, you're going to start with a dark color. And this to me looks black. I mean, that's completely black all the way at the bottom. So I will add just a touch, not a lot, because the black can be overpowering. I'm going to add a little bit of black right here. Okay, and that's it. I don't want to overdo it. And for the rest of the dark areas, I'm going to use these other dark colors. So I'm going right on top of the black with the blue, and I'm going in a circle. The reason I'm going in a circle is because pastels are pretty thick. They're kind of an in-between stage between paint and color pencils. So if you're going in a circle, you're kind of like stirring it together. It'll blend a little bit easier for you if you go in a circle, okay? And now I'm going to follow where some of these long shadows are. Okay, I've got some long shadows right there. Just the really dark ones. And I don't want to get too dark on the edge because, again, notice how the petal behind it is much darker. So I'll use like a medium blue for that. All right, so I've got a bunch of my dark down. And I'm going to take my light blue and I will go in and kind of go right on top of this darker blue, mix them together, stir them, go in a circle. So by mixing these together, you'll get like a mid-tone blue, and then I can layer on top of the blue. If I want to make it lighter, I can layer white on it, I can layer pink on it. So I'm just getting some of these medium shade blues in there. Okay, so I've got some striations going. Okay, so some of this blue goes way up high. Okay, I'm going to start introducing some pink and white for the in-between spots right there. So right here, I'm going to take my white and go in a circle again, and I'm going to blend it into some of that blue just to lighten it up a little and give me a light medium shade. There's a lot of layering involved in this. So you have to kind of, sometimes you have to go back and forth on top of it, like back and forth with the same colors until you get the right kind of blending. So in this technique, I'm just layering one on top of the other. I think I'll add, I'm gonna stylize a little. I want the pink to be more obvious, so I'm like really gonna get that pink to be bright. You can have fun with the colors. It doesn't have to be natural. It doesn't have to be what's in your original picture. You can switch them up a little bit. What might help you is if you made your picture black and white, or if you have a printer and you print it black and white, that way all you see are shadows, and then you can assign your pastel colors to the light, medium, and dark. Okay, so some of this pink is going to go in between. And then I'm going to layer again with the white, go in a circle to make it look more blended. So basically you start with the dark colors and then you layer the lighter colors on top, going in a circular motion. So this is not finished. I would keep going with this until this middle area is done. I do like how this is blending at the bottom. Let me work on this spot right there so you can see how the overlapping would look. This is much darker than what I did over here, so I think I will add a touch of white on the edge just to make sure I do have that contrast. I don't want it to look like this. I need it a little bit lighter. Okay, and then go back to my black to get that really dark shadow in. Oh, that's purple. Black. I'm gonna go right up to the edge. I'm using a little bit more black because, I mean, this looks really dark. So I'm not pressing too hard, but I want a thin layer of black underneath. So when I put the blue on top, it'll look like a very, very dark blue. Okay, and there's this like long striation right there. I wanna make sure I get that. And right there. okay? And then I'm going to use my dark blue and in a circle go right on top of the black, so it won't look pitch black, but it'll look like a very, very dark blue. And get some nice contrast next to this petal, so it'll look like it's behind it. So this is just one way to use pastels. If you find other ways, or if you YouTube other techniques and they work better for you, feel free to use them. This is the way I like to work with them. I like to just layer. I don't really use my fingers at all or smudge. But if that's a technique that you feel like works well for you, you can try it out. Okay, so I have my dark spots here, dark spot here. And then I have these light pinkish areas that I need to work on now. So I'm gonna put my baby blue right on top of this medium blue. Circle where I want them to blend. I'm just gonna make sure there's no white anywhere, everything's covered up. Okay. And then, so at the top here, it actually looks like this petal is slightly darker than that one. So I can always go back and forth, and maybe I'll add a touch of dark right there on the pink. Okay, that. And I will go ahead and mix my white with my blue to kind of give it a little bit of a gradient and blend. And then maybe a little touch of pink with the white so that it looks even and these match a little bit better. Just a little bit of pink. Okay, there's a bunch of white here and then pink there. The main thing I'm paying attention to is highlights and shadows. Where are they? And make sure you put the right colors in there. Okay, so you can see how that's starting to look like it's overlapping. I would probably keep adding a little more blue right here to make that come to life. So this is just a blending technique. I do want to show you a second technique called stippling. So for this part right here, you have to kind of get creative with how you want to draw that. You can stylize, which is what I'm going to do. Let me think, what colors do I want to use? You can use a combination of the same colors. You can use completely opposite colors. So the opposite of blue and purple would be like an orangey yellow. But I think I'm going to play off of this pink right here and maybe mix my pink with some of these other lighter colors. Okay, and they look like little circles, so I'm thinking maybe I can get away with just stippling, so a bunch of dots. I think I'm going to stylize this whole area. Maybe I'll go from light and then I'll get darker towards the edges. And in order to blend stippling, you start spreading out the dots and then layering on another color. So I'm going to put more purple towards the bottom. I'm just doing a bunch of dots. I'm not actually like blending. I'm not, you know, really coloring. I'm just putting down a bunch of dots. And then as you get further up, spread them out a little and they'll look like they're blending. The trick to getting the stippling to look good is to have a lot of dots. So the less white space you have, the better. Okay, what else do I want to use? Let me do a little bit more pink. So that's one way to stylize a challenging area that you might be having trouble with. I think I'll add some blue down here to make that look darker. So again, I didn't really color, I just dabbed on some dots, and you can see how from a distance those look like they're starting to blend. Okay, so that's oil pastels on white paper. We're also going to try the black paper and see which one you like better. The main thing in the black paper is that there's another technique called sgraffito that you can try. So I'm going to fold this in half. And again, I want you to try both. You don't have to have a finished piece of artwork. So let's say you tried the white and you absolutely hated it. Try it again with a different color combination. You don't have to finish the first one. Try another one. And let's say you hate it again. Skip to the black. And maybe at some point you'll stumble upon a color combination that you really love. You can just show me something like this, where I can see parts of your picture overlapping. I can see the dark, the light. and I can pretty much have a vision of what your final will look like. But this is meant for you to experiment with the tools and figure out what you like, and then you can start your final after that. All right, so let's do the black paper. And I'm just gonna work on those two petals again, so I'm not gonna bother drawing the entire flower. Let me just draw this middle part. I know I'm being really sloppy here. I just want to make sure I can show you. So these two petals and then that middle part, okay? Now for black, the bright colors really stand out on it, so I think maybe I want to do something a little different. Maybe lime green, yellow, white. I think I will use the blue again. I liked that one. And so these are my medium shades. I need the darker shades right here. I'll go back to the blue and the black. I think that's the color scheme I'll use for this one. Take inventory of what you have before you choose your colors. Make sure you have enough of what you need. All right, let's get started. So black, I'm gonna start with the black again. Now this seems a little weird. Why would I put black on a black piece of paper? It doesn't make sense. The reason I'm doing this, even though you can't really see it, is because when I put the blue on top, I can mix them. Let me show you. You can barely see the dark blue as well. But when I start then mixing it with the lighter colors, I can kind of get like a dark blue and fade it out into a brighter blue. You can see kind of like that gradient, and that's because I have the darker colors underneath here, okay? So you use the same techniques you used on the white paper. I just want to show you a technique that you can do on the black paper. So let me just lay down some color. I'm going to do this pretty quickly. I just want you to see the technique. Circles. Okay, and then up here, I think I want to do these two colors. Let me see what those look like. Okay, I'm not really happy with how the yellow and the green look on the black paper. So to brighten them up, I'm going to put some white underneath. So let me do that. Not terribly thick, just like a thin layer where I think I want the light areas to go. So there's like a long white line there. Okay, and then let's see how that looks with the yellow on top. All right, so that's better. That's better. It's not perfect, but sometimes you just kind of have to go with it. You have to go with how the tools look on the paper. I'm okay with this. I don't mind a little bit of the black paper showing through, but this is a lot better than what was there before. You could barely even see it. So now if I put my lime, oops, my pastel broke. If I put my green on the yellow, you can see it a little bit better. And then the green on the blue, I love how that looks. Okay, so I'm definitely rushing this one. I did not add all of the different striations. The last technique that you can do on the black paper, besides just the stippling and the blending, is graffito, which is basically scratching away. So maybe I do want these lines, but instead of drawing them in with a pastel, I can go in and scratch away. It might be a little hard for you guys to see, but I put the lead, I push the lead into my pencil and I'm just scratching with my pencil. You can use a toothpick, you can use honestly anything. Anything you have lying around, you can use for this technique. A pencil might work, a paper clip, just really anything. So I'm just using what I had laying around, which is this pencil. And I want it to look really dark and maybe a thicker line. So those of you that are doing a butterfly, this might help you to get some really crisp outlines in the pattern. Those of you that have something like this might work too. Like maybe you color in the entire shape solid and then you can outline it with sgraffito. You know, you can kind of like create a pattern like this for this area. So get creative. The purpose of the black and white paper is for you to try things out before you jump into your final, okay? Good luck.